Hello. I went up against a Sicilian when death was on the line. But stuff still happened. So what's up? Author's note. I'm not going to talk about the Trump assassination attempt. Cool. Turns out a lot of people hate AI, specifically when it's being used for customer service. And I mean, a lot of other things too. A recent survey of nearly 6,000 consumers found that 64% would prefer that companies don't use AI for customer service. It also found that 53% would consider switching to a competitor if they found out that a given company was using AI for their customer service. Concerns about this ranged from like, AI is gonna give me the wrong answers, to my data is almost definitely going to be compromised. That's the great thing about AI, is that there's so many bad things about it. You can take your pick. It's a really wonderful sort of choose your own adventure. The survey was conducted by Gartner, which is a research firm that sells research to executives. So hopefully they listen. But if they won't listen to consumer research, because why would they? Maybe they'll listen to an obscenely rich investment firm. Because Goldman Sachs just recently released a paper that talks about how AI is deeply mid. The paper basically makes the case that there's not really enough here to merit the billions upon billions of dollars that we're investing into this space. This being, we being the royal we. Wait, is that the right use of that? Whatever. The we being people with a lot of money who are dumping way too much money into products that are not all that good. Even the products that are kind of okay are really just kind of okay at doing a very specific thing. It hasn't revolutionized life, you know? But this is from the perspective of an investment firm. So they're saying, hey, there's a lot of money and not a lot of products. They're basically saying, y'all, this is a bubble. Calm down. Anyway, in addition to all of that, one last quick AI thing is 3 US senators just proposed the Copied Act, because every bill has to be a backronym. But the Copied Act, in theory, would add protections for writers and artists and whatnot in not having their stuff be stolen and used to train AIs. Weird, I thought we had something for that already. It's called I don't know, duplicate left or something? I don't know what it was called. This is my impersonation of Boeing. Oopsie doopsie, we did a whoopsie. Boeing has pled guilty to criminal fraud conspiracy. I'm just gonna say that again just for the fun of it. Boeing has pled guilty to criminal fraud conspiracy. Now, don't get too excited, because they're getting a slap on their wrist. They pled guilty in a plea deal, and they're being charged about $244 million, which is 8 cents to them. Families of people who died on various Boeing aircraft that were rushed to market with no safety standards, apparently, they're not happy with this. They're saying this was a sweetheart deal, because Boeing is too big to fail. That was a fun little sound I just made. The victims' families were hoping for a criminal trial, because if there was a criminal trial, Boeing would have had their name dragged through the mud. More. They would have had to go up on the bench and sit next to a judge and be like, yeah, I mean, we did do a fraud a little bit, but we do make good bombs, so yeah. Reminder, if you're not really tuned into the military contractor world, Boeing is a massive military contractor. They make bombs. Apparently they're a little bit confused about when things go in the air, which ones are supposed to fall down and explode and which ones are supposed to gracefully land. I want to make something really clear. I am a red-blooded, trident-favoring citizen of Earth, just like you. But Poseidon's about to take a big L. Back in May, a large statue of Poseidon appeared in the Gulf of Mexico, on a beach, not in the middle of the ocean. That would be sick. But it appeared in the waves on the beach. Is there a term for where the water comes? Is that just beach? Anyway, it's a pretty rad statue, I will say. However, that's a Greek god. Greek is not Mexico. This is a good episode. Dear God. Yeah, Poseidon does not have a connection to Mexico. I don't know why it's there, and neither do the locals, because local indigenous groups are hey, why is Poseidon here? We have our own gods. And so I want to talk to you about Chak, the Mayan god of rain, thunder, and lightning. Chak is about to take Poseidon into the ring, and it's not even gonna be one round, y'all. Let me tell you about this guy. He has jade axes that he throws at rain snakes in the sky. And that's how rain happens. Although also sometimes his axes are lightning axes. And sometimes he has snakes and throws snakes at the clouds. It's a little unclear, but there's axes, jade, snakes, and lightning all in play. And again, I like tridents. Look, I have a mini trident right here. I'm a tridenter boy all the way through and through, but I don't know about this one. Poseidon, take the L, my guy. Anyway, the statue's being removed because they didn't get permits for it. And also because indigenous groups are like, hey, this is like actually offensive. But also like they didn't get the permits for it. And also it's probably gonna mess up the local ecosystem. Art installations are cool and all. Also, be thoughtful about nature. You got it? I want to talk to you about vaginas. Now, this past week, I've seen a whole bunch of videos from women and trans men and non-binary folks all talking about this story, but I feel like I need to talk about it too so that you can have the perspective of a cis white guy. It's critically important that I am heard. That never happens. So tampons have lead in them. Researchers tested 14 different popular brands of tampons for 16 different metals that you don't really want to have in a tampon. And they found all 16 metals among them. And they found lead in every brand they tested. Notably, there is no acceptable exposure level for lead. And there certainly isn't a level of acceptable exposure for lead in the coochie. Now, vaginas. I love them. You love them. They're a portal to the babyverse. I didn't pay attention in sex ed, but they're pretty great. And vaginal tissue is pretty absorptive. And absorptive? It absorbs. And if it absorbs lead, that's just gonna go right into the bloodstream. That's not great. I have a note here, just a bullet point. It says lead should not go in blood. So while I have not personally menstruated yet, I can definitely say that if I was menstruating, I would be basically a second-class citizen. So, But hey, maybe it's time to look into using a menstrual cup because of the lead. Anyway, hey, people who look like me, women are criminally understudied in general healthcare science. Like lead in tampons level of understudy. Like think about the trope of like a woman going to an auto mechanic and they like try to swindle women specifically more than men. Think of that, but you have cancer. Like, that's not great. I would actually go as far as to say that kind of sucks. Gaming. Summer Games Done Quick happened, and if you're not familiar, that is a speedrunning expo that raises money for Doctors Without Borders. This year they raised $2.5 million. I love nerds. The developer of Cities Skylines 2 has delayed the console release indefinitely. Despite there not being plans, there's no concrete plans, the head of Sonic Team is wondering why there hasn't been a Sonic RPG yet. How fast do you want to go? The choice is up to you. They are making a Planet Coaster 2, and it's going to have multiplayer theme park building. Let's get spirally. The developers of Pal World have joined forces with Sony to make a new subsidiary that may ultimately produce a Pal World anime. So if you were wondering what world we live in, we live in the Pal one, apparently. Side note, I did not play Pal World. Are people still playing Pal World? That's not a dig. I'm sure you're having fun if you play it. It was everywhere. And I haven't heard of it until this story, so I don't know. Lightning round. You could be the proud owner of the 2 pistols that Napoleon Bonaparte planned to kill himself with. They're for sale, they're for auction. Canada has a national crisis of car thefts. Analyzing data from 2022 has shown that there was a car theft about, on average, once every 5 seconds. Spotify is adding comments to podcasts. Why? Tesla is reaching out to Cybertruck owners and offering to upgrade their motors after suddenly a whole bunch of motor complaints have been rolling in. Basically, all of Houston, Texas right now is still without power after being hammered by massive storms. This is not going to get better anytime soon. But this is good. Rudy Giuliani was trying to file for bankruptcy to get out of having to pay punitive damages to people from a different court case from him doing all the election fraud stuff. Anyway, that just got thrown out. The judge was like, you are messing around too much. You're not filing. Get out of here. And speaking of court cases getting thrown out, Alec Baldwin is no longer in a court case for the shooting thing that happened on the set of the movie that he was on. That court case has been finally dropped. And finally for today, rip to a real one, I guess? Richard Simmons passed away recently at the age of 76. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of Stuff Keeps Happening. Head to skh.news for sources, bonus content, and high-definition footage of the battle between Chalk and Poseidon. My name is Endeavorance. I'll be back on Monday. Take care and be well. Hey, it's the post-show Endeavorance. How's it going? I hope that you're doing very well. I am, I think. I'll have to double check. I'll get back to you on that. If you have a moment, I would really appreciate it if you would leave a review or give a share or what have you, whatever your local podcast app allows. Sharing the show is a great way to help. I really, really appreciate it. If you want to go even further, you can check out my Patreon, patreon.com/Endeavorance. There's a whole bunch of bonus content, including vlogs, behind the scenes, and a first look at an upcoming big new project, and more on that in the near future. Thank you so much. Take care. Be well.